sky, make it look a lot more atmospheric. And I also want to add in a little bit more detail in the background. Once my colors are down, you know, you do start to see, or I at least start to see things that aren't quite working. And for one thing, I've noticed that the right hand background area doesn't have the sense of scale that I want it to have. So I'm going to add in maybe another cliff or mountain directly behind my building or my structure. So just using a blank tone at this, or a flat tone, I can see instantly that that is going to make a nice addition to the painting. It makes a big difference to the sense of scale for that building. And I think that overall it creates a bit more balance, a bit more harmony to the composition. You guessed it, I'm going to just add in some textured brush strokes over that to make it sit into the composition a bit more. It's a bit dark at this stage, so I might think about lightening it up. But just in terms of looking at it, yeah, I think that works. So those are my background mountains in the back there. I'll just shift them over. I'm going to do the same over here on the left, just increase the scale a little bit more. Really helps sometimes if you look at your painting as a small thumbnail, you can instantly tell if it's working or not. So I think that looks a lot better. I think before it was just feeling a bit empty. With the addition of those mountains closing in the space, it gives a much more immediate sense of, you know, a closed in space, a sense of structure, a sense of scale. But these are the things that you can, you know, sort of add in and decide upon as you go. You know, your process is a little bit fluid like that. It's not always going to be set in stone from the outset and, you know, you do one progression at a time. You can obviously go back, you can undo things, you can change and move things around. But I find that working in this way gives you a better sense of completion. Like, you know that you can move through the painting and get things done orderly if you at least move from a grayscale to a painted version and then to a detailed and finalized textured version. Now I'm going to work on the sky. So that flat tone back there is okay, but it needs a gradient. It needs to have a sense that there's dust swirling in the background. So I'm just going to use a soft round edge brush and just brush on some sandy color on the bottom of that grey and then put a darker grey at the top. And instantly that gives a much better, much more interesting sky, I think. So that's all it takes. I mean, you can leave it there if you wanted to. I might add in another little bit of rocky outcrop over here using the lasso tool, and just on a new layer, just putting the color in with the bucket tool, and then I can select that whole thing and then just texture it up with the brush if I need to. Alright, so that was just the addition of a couple more mountains or organic shapes behind the building structure, adding on to my mountain on the left, and then of course adding the sky and creating like that sense of atmosphere and depth in the sky. In the next video, I'm going to show you how I move into the next phase of this painting, which is all about details. So much of this painting has organic shapes in it, and that really is great in a sense because you know, organic shapes are a lot easier to paint than architectural man-made shapes. So for all of the rocks and the sand and the desert, it's going to be an intuitive process, much like the painting process has been up until now. But there's an important way that I like to approach this, and that is using the lasso tool to draw. So join me in the next video. I'm going to show you how I proceed from here on out.